All right, welcome back, and we'll see if how long it takes um, YouTube to let people know that I'm on. I think YouTube hates me. I'm not sure, but I think they do. That might seem weird, but oh no, there we go. They're gonna actually. Okay, so let's see here. What this stream ends up being about will depend on who shows up. Now, in other news, we're playing Vampire tonight. Vampire the Masquerade. Why? Because everyone at the table is a huge fan. And now next week, um, we've got people who are saying, "Hey, since the guy who is our storyteller for Vampire can only play every other week, next week may end up being Talislanta week." And, I'll, of course, have to ask all the people. Mobius, good evening to you, my fine sir. So if everyone is like cool with it, then, yeah, next week will be um, our Talislanta game. And then the week after that will be Homie's vampire game. And we'll just go back and forth like that until Shadow and Sun. How are you, Shadow? How are you doing? Yeah. I was just posting a video earlier to one of my esteemed Protestant bros explaining how he might have mistaken a certain thing with, oh, you got a game going too. Awesome. Awesome, man. Let me look up here and see what's going on. We have a bear.
Hey, hey.
Hello, Mr. Bear.
What's up with you, man?
Well, I'm getting ready to play Vampire, and it's cool because the storyteller who had to quit storytelling because of moving and everything, he ended up being able to find and buy a house that's less than like 10 minutes away from mine,
Oh, nice.
which means he's going to actually be able to show up earlier than he used to. So we'll be able to start gaming earlier, and that means we'll be able to play longer
What
because
game are you
Vampire the Masquerade.
playing?
Right. Because you know me, I'm an edge lord.
Yeah, you are. When I think edgelords, you're who I think of.
I mean, I am the edgiest of edge. Well, I'm
You
not now, but I used to be. And to be fair, I do sometimes just to annoy my wife put on the Artemis song, I Like the Way You Kiss Me, just because I know the video drives her nuts. Even though I try to explain to her that that was totally me in the mid 90s, like parties like that and shit. I was like right in there. So I'm like, and she's like, well, if I'd known that, I don't think you and I would have dated in the 90s. And I'm like, well, I guess it's a good thing we met in the 2000s. About
yeah.
95, I would have been at that place with all the goth music and everybody rolling and tripping on crazy shit and chicks with shaved eyebrows and dyed
Oh, dude.
hair and
We used to go to this place in Vancouver called Love Affair, which we affectionately named Love Your Hair.
love
And
you.
it was that.
Yeah, it was fun.
Hello.
Hey,
All right.
the stink of clove cigarettes everywhere.
Oh, God, yes. Black lace as far as the eye can see. How much fucking eyeliner? Like raccoon levels of eyeliner.
3 hair colors. It was like Merlot red, super platinum blonde, and black number 1. Just that as far as the eye could see. Just depended. That's the goth club, of course. The puppy bowl. Yay. Everybody loves puppies. I know I do. My puppy, we took him to a friend's house. There was like 30 people there. And my little puppy was amazing.
My Papal hated dogs. And
Hated
animals.
dogs.
Yep. Most all animals, actually.
Wow. All right. The only people I've ever known of that as a group hated dogs is some, not all, but there are some of the crazier Muslims that have a hatred for dogs, especially black dogs. But that's even rare with them. And they say it has something to do with Prophet hated dogs, but it's like, but even most of the Muslim people I've known own dogs. It's like, it's kind of like,
Hey, some people. Me, I don't care about having another one.
some people indeed, dogs, in my opinion, are proof that there might be a God and he probably loves us. Otherwise, why would he create an animal that's willing to die for you at the drop of a hat?
Still, one of my favorite 4-panel cartoons ever is the one of the angel going, "Here, I have brought you a creature of pure love and compassion." It's holding out a dog, and then they cut to the devil, and the devil sort of looks sideways, and the next panel he's just holding up a cat.
You're right.
Yeah.
That one guy, I believe he's Canadian, that does all the God and the angels making dogs. The Chihuahua was made by Satan. Because like Gabriel shows up and God's there plotting to flood the earth again because he's pretty mad at all the nonsense. And Gabriel's all like, "What are you doing here, Lucifer?" And Lucifer's like, "Well, it turns out I have an official religion, and according to the rules, that means I get to create a dog." And Gabriel's like to God, "Is this true?" And God's like, "Yeah, it's in the contract, right?" And he hands Gabriel this packet. And of course, Gabriel's like going he's like, to Lucifer, he's like, actually, I gotta admit, I love the way you laid this out. I mean, it's really well done. And Lucifer, of course, like, "Thank you, And he's like, "So what is a chihuahua?" And he's like, "No, it's pronounced Chihuahua." And they're like, "And what do you mean, the rage of 10,000 men?" And it just keeps going on. So they're basically trying to imply that chihuahuas were created by Lucifer.
You know, Bear, if the earth was flat, that cat would push everything off of it by now.
Oh, yes, absolutely. In fact, he first.
There are people who believe that the earth is flat and that Antarctica somehow builds a gigantic ice wall around the earth we know. I don't know how this is even possible.
It's not.
And that on the other side of the gigantic ice wall, which does have a very few openings, there's like another ocean with more land, but everything we know of, like as our physics and shit, doesn't work on the other side. And it's full of monsters and woo-woo. So
yeah, there's no accounting for mental illness.
I mean, once you've seen a picture of like the Earth from the moon, you would think. Yeah, there's people who believe communism works also. Right. Again, there's no accounting for mental illness. But I have to say one thing. Communism absolutely works. If you're an ant or a bee, it's awesome. If you're an ant or a bee or any other hive insect, then yes, communism works. But the biggest downfall of communism is human nature, because humans will never be completely selfless, willing to sacrifice ourselves for the good of the colony, kind of bullshit like that. We always want
like
more than
cats.
our neighbor.
You mean like
an
cats?
ant will literally let itself die if that's what has to happen to make the colony better. Humans ain't going to do that. I mean, during a war, you might have some soldiers that are willing to be like, "F it, we're taking bitches out." But that's just a guy that's like, whatever, right? And that is the problem when I talk to people who want collectivism, let's call it, instead of communism or socialism. Collectivism is like, yeah, you would literally have to find a way to breed avarice out of humanity. And that would be super hard, since a certain amount of avarice is like necessary for our survival. Like if humanity, when we were really primitive, was completely without any sort of greed, we'd be dead. We wouldn't have survived, because no one would give a shit about taking care of their families and stuff. They'd been like, whatever. So, yeah, if you're a bee, and let me tell you, I love bees and I love ants. I think that they are two of the most awesome creatures on the entire planet. But unless you're one of those two things, that kind of totalitarianism like that is just not going to work. Or it might, but people will be very unhappy. Now, I saw this thing where this Japanese guy, they have problems, of course, with giant hornets. So what they've started doing is they make the entrance into the beehive just big enough for the bees to get in, and it's made out of metal, right? So the hornets can't get in, and then when they think there's going to be a hornet attack, they wait, and when they catch a hornet, they stomp on it, and then they grab it with their gloves and they put it on like the mouse traps that are just sticky. So a mouse gets on and gets stuck, and well, when they stomp on the hornet, it unleashes all these pheromones and attracts every one of these giant wasps within like 100 yards to immediately come to where it is. And then they get stuck in the thing. So instead of wiping out all the bees, as would be their normal want, they end up getting a lot of them wiped out.
You ever see how the Japanese bees defend themselves against those wasps?
Yeah, they like gather around them and superheat them.
Yeah, they cook them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And it's so wild that animals somehow develop that trait. And you want to talk about ultimate selflessness, because half of those bees that jump on that thing are going to die.
Yep.
Whether they know they are or not. Maybe they do know. And they're just like, hey, anything for the queen, baby. Anything for the species, no. Which is why I say the Imperium in 40K is not evil. Because they're just basically saying anything for the species. And I'm not talking miniature gaming, lore. A lot of people are like, well, they're not good. Well, you know what? They're not bad either. They're just willing to do whatever it takes to ensure that humanity survives. Well, that's at least the argument. I mean, I'm not saying anybody has to agree with it.
You know what I think of 40K. You know how I feel about 40K.
Well, I just did a video explaining, because this Protestant guy was saying that part of the history of Trench Crusade is blasphemous because it depicts the demonic forces as being divided. But Christ says the demonic forces are not divided. Therefore, that would be blasphemous. But what I explained is they're not divided, but their goal isn't to win. Because if they martyr a bunch of Christians, all those Christians go to heaven. And that is the last thing, the great deceiver would ever want, right? So the point is the trench war has to drag on basically forever until the forces of hell can corrupt as many people as possible. Right? I mean, if that's just the theology behind it. Because if the demons, like I said, if they kill Christian believers and send them immediately to heaven as martyrs, then who won? Not them. It's totally against what they want, which is to hurt God. And the only way to hurt God is to corrupt us. Yeah, theology is a thing. Now, will the Finnish guy that's involved in making the rules, will he know that? Probably not, because while he's not a leftist, he is a Bard Vickerson type metal guy and hates Christians really, really bad. Like how Varg says Christians are just a different kind of Jew and he hates Jewish people and Christians. I don't know if you know Varg, but that guy, me and him we have went at it like nonstop on X because I'm
Sounds like fun.
well, he did write a role-playing game, and some people do think the role-playing game is okay, but he is not a good human being. In my opinion, he's not very good. He's like a bad person. But whatever. He was on X forever, and I was just like calling him an idiot. That's one of the few things I think me and Pundit ever agreed on X. Is like we both would tell Varg he's an idiot. Because Varg has a special hate on for Pundit. They're trying not to implode. No imploding. No imploding. In this case, I'm not even preaching. It's actually part of the game. Like, because the game's about a war between heaven and hell, and I'm just explaining why hell does not want to win. And they're not divided. And you can't believe anything that anyone would say about hell because the Lord of Hell is the master of deception. So, you know what I mean? Which was a good game or good movie too. Lord of Deception or whatever. Pretty good movie. But I think I saw, did I see Unchained in here for a second? Yeah, I saw him. He's been making some really badass, great videos about AD&D that have been, yeah, like AD&D and how to get new players to play AD&D and like simple tricks, and I mean, which I love. And I found that even though I've been playing AD&D, not necessarily correctly since the 80s. Every time I watch his videos, I always seem to walk away with like knowing a new thing about it, That's why I said, like, I posted on his video and I said, this is the true master right here, this guy. I know there was a while where I was like posting on all my videos that I was the greatest DM of all time. But I think Unscripted Unchained is a damn, what would I call him? I would call him a damn national treasure. That's what I would call him.
Oh, you're mute. Mute.
Yep, I saw the thing flip.
Yep.
But yeah, he's one of the guys I watch that I think is a national treasure when it comes to AD&D stuff. Shadow's a little bit too for me, I think. And that doesn't mean I don't love Shadow to death. I do. And I don't mean in a prison way. I mean, like in a good way. But
you mean it in the Yandere way, don't you?
I mean it in a platonic way, obviously. But I think what Shadow thinks of the way he runs his AD&D games is a lot more high fantasy than the way I ever did. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Just it's like, people run games different ways. Yeah, you definitely run high fantasy, high magic, weird shit. Gygax would love your game.
That's fair. It's not like you could throw fireballs everywhere. Well, not the kind from D&D, because it's not like an AoE spell. It's a single target spell.
Right. But I'm just saying Gygax would love your game because, let's be honest, Gygax was into all that weird shit too. I mean, he did write, Journey to Barrier Peak.
There's a lot of magic in our game, but it's also horribly deadly.
Again, Gygax would probably love your game. My game, he probably would be indifferent to. He'd probably be like, it's creative, but you really don't have enough going on. Because when I run AD&D in my homebrew world, it's basically like Baptism of Fire, except set in Russia after the Tsar, the first couple of Tsars. So it's actually, whereas Baptism of Fire is like Dark Ages, mine is like medieval. I mean, some of the Russian troops, or Imperial troops, I should say, have black powder weapons. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which I mean, black powder weapons like came up like what, early 1500s,
Before that,
a little bit before, I think.
I was watching Metatron, and he was talking about how they had black powder weapons in the 1400s.
Yeah, it was kind of in like either, I can't remember exactly when, but like late to mid.
But they didn't
1400s, I
look
think.
like what we think of.
No, it was basically like a cannon on a stick.
Yeah, it's like a baby cannon on the end of a stick, and then gradually over time it developed into like
An arquebus that
something
got
we would
more
recognize
more
as a
rifle-y type
firearm.
thing.
But
Once you get to more recognizable, it's probably around like the 16 or 1700s, really.
I don't know. When was Tsar Ivan? When did he take over the principalities of Russia? Around 1400s, right? I'd have to look.
1584.
1584. So we would call it the
1533 to
14th
84.
century.
So
We would call it the 14th century because you know how they always.
yeah,
Yep, because one of the things that allowed him to conquer all the other principalities is he came up with the concept of the Strokovi,
yeah, okay.
which were men that were armed with these great big ass battle axes and arquebuses.
Yeah, okay.
You know, and
I'm
you
off
would
a little
put the
bit,
battle axe on the
quite a bit,
ground and
actually.
put the arquebus in the crook of the blade, like
Yeah.
a stand. Then you'd fire the arquebus, and if somebody tried to charge you, then you've got this big ass axe.
Ready
Plus,
for
they were all
going.
wearing like lamellar steel armor and the pointy Russian hats. So the other thing he came up with, or at least a general serving him came up with, was mobile walls.
Oh yeah.
They
I
built
should have
these
remembered that. I
Giant,
forgot.
big ass walls with wheels and firing slits for their cannons and guns.
Because
And they would just
arquebuses,
slowly encircle a city and just keep cranking in a little and a little. And
yeah,
they burnt
arquebuses were
Novgorod
in
to the freaking
were
ground.
actually in Japan at the time too.
Yeah, well, I mean, humans
Goku
tend to
Jidai,
think a
man.
lot alike, and
It's not that
You
they
know?
found out. They kind of bought it from the Portuguese once they finally arrived.
yeah, well, the Russians would just build them.
Yeah,
They'd be
Japanese.
like, "Oh, we're going to have a siege. Well, time to build some freaking walls," and they build these
the Japanese were like,
gigantic log
"Oh, hey, these
walls,
are cool."
right? You're right. And then they would move the walls and put cannons behind them, and men with arquebuses and firelocks and whatever. And eventually, once they got a breach in the wall, they would keep advancing, and the infantry would pile in behind the walls. And when they got close enough, they dash across that final however many yards into the city, at which point it was over. It was done. If you're the defender, just lay down arms. But that's no guarantee that Ivan would have been like magnanimous about it, because no one back then really was. I mean, like when the Crusaders conquered Jerusalem, after they slaughtered all the Muslims, they slaughtered all the Jews, and then they went to the Christian quarter and started slaughtering all the Orthodox priests, because they knew the Orthodox priests had supposedly a piece of the true cross. And they slaughtered them until they gave up the true cross, and then they forced them all to become Roman Catholic. So, equal opportunity tomfoolery was going on there,
Yeah.
There's equal opportunity.
Now, there was one time where I heard about I guess you could say a military leader who was a bit magnanimous. He was going to let all the women go with whatever they could carry and kill all the men. So the women just carried their husbands.
That's a good woman.
Yeah, and the thing is, some of them were like, wait, you can't do that. No. And then the leader was just like, no, you know what? I'll let it go. Let it go. That's pretty
You know what?
impressive.
That was smart. I'll allow it. Yeah, that was in a movie, bro. What's her name? The girl who played Firestarter when she was a baby, Drew Barrymore.
I heard
They,
that story, and I
the
thought that was funny.
gypsies tell her she can leave the camp, but she can only take what she can carry. And she picks up the guy she likes and carries him out of the camp. And all the gypsies just laugh and laugh and laugh because they think it's like the greatest thing ever, because they got outsmarted, but they like it. They're like, well, damn, okay, this chick has brains, And I think that was like Sleeping Beauty or something, but
I have no clue, but I heard that story and I like that story.
Well, I mean, your story's probably true, but I saw it in a movie because I've watched. Because okay, I was going to lie. The reality is, I like rom-coms.
Rom-coms. Well, there's some good ones out there.
Yes.
About a Boy is really good. Notting Hill wasn't bad, and that Christmas one where it's all the vignettes with like Alan Rickman and everybody. What the fuck is that one called? Jesus, I can't think of it. I also Say Anything with John Cryer's really good too. Love Actually.
Say Anything with Cusack. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Love Actually was the one I was trying to think of.
Cusack there for a while was like the master of rom-coms.
Cusack's
you had like John Cusack. You had like Say Anything. You had the one where he owned the record store.
Yeah.
Gross Point Blank.
So here's something. It doesn't take much brain stretching to figure out that Gross Point Blank is effectively a sequel to Say Anything. Like, it doesn't take much effort.
He was in school. It was prom night. He decided he really, really wanted to kill somebody. Joined the army. It's like, all right.
Popcorn. He was supposed to.
Oh my God.
He was supposed to be in Devil's Advocate, and then they gave it to Keanu Reeves. And I don't like that movie. I think the movie's a very bad movie. But I imagine if John Cusack had been in it, it would have been a lot better. Hell, if John Cryer had been in it, it would have been a lot better.
Well, the thing
Keanu Reeves is not a good actor. I don't know what's wrong with people. He's a nice guy, very interesting person, but he's not a good actor.
That's what he has going for him. He's a nice guy, and he's interesting. But you're right. His range is very limited. Like
when I saw Matrix in the theater in '99, when he goes, I know Kung Fu, the entire audience started laughing.
You know what? People still laugh about that.
Like, but they weren't laughing like, that's a funny line. They were like, God, he sounds stupid. You could hear the laugh,
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah, we laughed about that shit and talked about Bill and Ted Go to the Matrix. And
there's that one movie, The Gift, with Kate Blanchett, Katie Holmes, and all that. He's really good in that, but that's because you can see the director knows how to direct. And the problem is a lot of these actors that we think are, mediocre, be it, Keanu Reeves, Nicolas Cage, what's his name, Bruce Willis. They all can act.
Haydenson or whatever.
Yeah, they can all act. Christian Hayden, absolutely. They can all act when they have a director who knows how to direct.
Right.
As opposed to directors who just go, yeah, okay, come and do the scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you got a shitty director telling him, talk about sand and how coarse and rough it is.
Yeah.
And do it in as deadpan of a way as possible. Show the least amount of freaking emotion.
The only person who got away with acting in the prequels was Ewan McGregor. And the only reason Ewan McGregor got away with it was because he was effectively doing an impersonation of Alec Guinness.
Mhm.
And you know damn well Lucas was just in awe of the fact that he was doing an impersonation of Alec Guinness. You know what I mean?
That's all that was.
Yeah.
Ewan McGregor, who is a good actor, I mean, he was in Trainspotting, which I think is one of the most terrific but awesome movies you'll ever watch.
Yeah.
You know, because it just has all these famous actors and they're just all great. But yeah, he even knew. I mean, I think I seen an interview where he even said when he got the role, he just watched Sir Alec Guinness a bunch and was like, I'm just going to be him. Because,
What
I
was
mean,
that movie?
it's Obi-Wan. I mean, Obi-Wan can only be Sir Alec Guinness. So if you're going to be Obi-Wan, you have to be Sir Alec Guinness, no matter who
What
you
was
are.
the movie in the 90s, I think it was? It was Ewan McGregor and the guy who played Doctor Who that for one season when they brought it back. And they're roommates, and then the guy moves in, and there's this whole fucking thing. What the fuck was that movie called?
Was that a foreign film?
It was a British film. It's really good. What the fuck was the name of that movie? Shit, I can't remember.
Well, I know one of my favorite versions of Hamlet is the Kenneth Branagh one.
It's very good, but I actually prefer Kenneth Branagh's Much Ado About Nothing and Henry V.
He was good in Henry V too. Yeah, he kicked ass.
But have you seen Much Ado About Nothing?
I have not.
It's amazing. It's like amazing, that film.
He was awesome in A Midsummer Night's Dream too. Or wait, was that Kenneth Branagh that played the main guy in A Midsummer Night's Dream?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and I just like that story anyway. You know, with the fairies and all that. Robin Goodfellow, who can skirt a girdle around the earth in the wag of a dog's tail or whatever. And all the actors in the movie were relatively, like, really good at their roles. So that makes it easy to like a movie when, like, you know, the actors know what the hell they're doing. Exactly. I see that too, you know.
Oh, sorry, it wasn't Ewan McGregor in that movie. Yes, it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Yeah. The movie's called Shallow Grave.
Shallow Grave.
94. Yeah. And Ewan McGregor, Chris Eccleston. The chick is forgettable, sadly. Carrie Fox. She's not that memorable. Really good movie.
Not like Samantha Fox, then.
No, not like Samantha Fox, no.
Samantha Fox is very memorable.
She was very popular in Quebec in the 80s.
Oh, I'm sure. She's very popular everywhere in the 80s. Yeah, I love that when he's like, joined the army. They did a test. They found out I had a certain moral flexibility. They loaned me out to the CIA, you know, and then I decided to go into business for myself. He's trying to, and everybody always asks the same question. Do you get dental with that? And he's like, no, you don't get dental.
My favorite character in that whole movie is Alan Arkin as his therapist.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have a relationship. There was no relationship here. So good.
Yeah, he's like, the therapist is hiding under the freaking desk taking meds and shit. He's like,
I saw that movie 4 times in one day when it first came out. A buddy took me to see it. We fucking loved it. We ran into a friend of ours on the bus when we were heading home. We're like, we just saw this amazing movie. He was like, hey, we should go see it again. I'm paying. We're like, all right, let's fucking go. So we went to see it again. Then we called up a bunch of friends and said, we're going to go see this movie again tonight. So we went to see it again. And then we just stayed for the next showing. You know, we didn't even fucking leave the theater. 4 times in one day. That's how good that fucking movie was.
bing, bang, boom, popcorn.
Popcorn.
Yeah. Careful. Yeah. Careful.
T-80s. I took a bath on those tanks.
When he's like, careful, I don't see gunshot wound on the menu.
Yeah.
Treatment on the menu. When they're in the restaurant and they both got the pistols under the table, and he's telling the woman, I just want egg white omelet. nothing in it. Look, I don't want to have a semantic debate. I just want the protein.
Don't kill anybody for a few days. See what it feels like. All right, I'll give it a shot. No, don't give it a shot. Don't shoot anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god.
It does. And when he's talking about the drugs and frickin' what's his name was so great in the movie is Grocer. He's like, they're not drugs, they're medication. They're prescribed to me. I ingest them. I don't take them.
Yeah.
Like, that guy, I'm putting together a little concern. And he's like, look, I don't want to be a part of your little guild. I'm a lone gunman.
With your life.
Lone.
Yeah, lone gunman. Yeah. But what have you been doing with your life? I'm a professional killer. Ah, good for you. Growth industry.
Yeah, the dad.
Yeah.
And it turned out he was the target because he had ratted people out.
Yeah.
About some bad shit with a car.
You can never go home, but I guess you can shop there.
I guess you can shop there.
When you get to his house and it's a
The
convenience
freaking
store.
Bass guy shows up and just starts blowing shit up. That
Benny
dope
the Jet
bastard.
Urquidez. That's Benny the Jet Urquidez in that role.
Yeah.
They have a great fight.
And he gets killed with a pin. And Martin Blanks all like looking at the pin, and he's like, damn, did come in handy after all.
Yeah.
His poor friend.
When she's fucking taking out the office and she's like, on the phone, but she's like pouring gasoline everywhere.
Yeah.
And that was his sister. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's talking to the one lady and she's being so nice about, no, that adds flavor. And then she switches over. She's like, you told me you had the fucking 9mm rounds. She's like, totally flips,
Yeah.
She's like, and I need them here now. Then she switches back. She's like, no, it'll add flavor. She's in a lot of his movies, which, I mean, if my sister were alive and I were an actor and I could get my sister roles, I would. So,
But she's actually a very good actress, too.
She actually really is.
John
Like
Cusack
another
is
rom-com
like a
I
damn
love
good
that he's in, American Sweethearts.
Yes.
And she's, she's in it. Everybody's in that one. Freaking Billy Crystal and the dog. And he's just like, help me. Nobody helps him. And he's just getting freaking taken advantage of by that Doberman. But what's he going to do? I mean, he's like, and of course, what's his name shows up. And it's like, okay, he's playing the role of a crazy guy. Is that really, stretching it too much for him? Christopher Walken. Thank you. This is one of the best movies I've ever seen. Oh, we should get together and you have your people call my people.
Yeah.
And the one guy's just super pissed off. He's like, my penis is bigger than roll of quarters. He's so upset about it.
Well, I gotta go. I gotta make my
getting
supper.
Close to my game time.
I gotta go fix some dinner. I'll see you.
See ya.
I'm out too. Take care, boys.
Take care. I am still hanging. I am just waiting for people to show up, and then I will flee into the night to feed on the blood of the humans, because that's what we do in the game that we're playing. We flee into the night to feed on the blood of humans and to whine and bitch about the way things are, apparently. Not me, though. My character, actually, the way I play my character, he loves being a vampire. He is, like, totally down with it. He's like, being a vampire is the best. you know. So I have a hard time attending mass and stuff, but you know, other than that, I'm pretty much my own man. I can do whatever I want. In real life, you know, my character always liked hunting anyway, so you know. Plus, I try to appease my own humanity by only hunting and killing bad people, which I know is kind of cliche as hell. Any of you who've ever watched Forever Night are like, oh my God, really? But that's what my character does because it makes me feel better about the whole thing. So if you're a bad person and you do bad things to hurt people, one night you could be walking down the street from your fancy 5-star restaurant, heading to the parking garage where your $1 billion car's parked or whatever, and you might see me there, and you will not like it because that's what my character does. And like I said, it makes him feel better about, you know, being a monster. It's kind of the way in game my character keeps his humanity, even though his humanity's pretty low already. And I run jobs for the frickin' prince. Because sometimes shit has to be done. And apparently sometimes I'm the one to do it. Again, because, you know, my humanity's low enough that if I have to kill 5 humans, it doesn't really affect me that much, you know. I'm like, whatever. And I'm not even following the path of humanity in game. I'm following the path of what is it? Path of will and power or something like that. So, yeah. But I am, as they say in game, a Helene. I am a Bruja vampire that has, regardless of what the rest of the clan decided, chosen to be loyal to the can. Come what may. And, you know, that puts me at odds with a lot of the other Bruja in the city and whatnot, because they're all like, screw the cam sucks, blah, blah, blah. And I'm all like, no. Nope. I am a member. My level of influence within the cam is enough that I could be a prince if I weren't in the city I'm in. And we will be following the traditions. That's just a thing. Oh, I hear nothing. That means people are here. People are here. That means, oh, well, there's a lot of people. I think all of the people. Oh, my goodness. I step away for a minute and everybody go. No, they all had their game to get ready for, and pretty much all of my co-players and the storyteller just walked in my front door. I mean, if you were listening, you could probably hear my dog losing his freaking mind. So I'm getting ready to have to take off too. But like I said in the description, this was going to be a short pre-game thing. I mean, the link was in, so anybody could have joined, but squidgy. Anyway, so short live, and if you haven't checked out my video on why hell can never win in Trench Crusade, and you're at all interested in Trench Crusade, check it out. give it a thumbs up, share it around, do all the things. It helps. And also check out both Shadow and Sun and Unchained role playing, because they've been putting out some really good videos. Shadow has really upped his game. The last couple of his videos I've watched, and of course, Unbound Unchained. When it comes to talking about like castles and crusades and stuff like that, that guy is always on the money. So anyway, you can hear there's a whole clown show going on behind. But yeah, everybody who's gaming tonight, have a great game. Hopefully you get the roles you need, or maybe not, because let's be honest, sometimes the best games are the games where you didn't get the role you needed, but it led on to like all kinds of other cool shit. So Donata. Yeah, so that's it. Gonna let you guys get to your thing.